Hey friends, welcome back to the channel and to another episode of Actionable Knowledge, where I summarize non-fiction books into actionable steps for you to take and apply straight to your life. In this video, I will share with you one key takeaway message and 4 actionable steps from the book Hooked: How to Build Habit-Forming Products. If you like these actionable steps, I will share more on where you can find more actions towards the end of the video and also include some links in the description below. I hope you will find this video useful. Let's get to it. If you're new here, my name is Ryan. I'm a PhD student based in London, and on this channel, I mainly share my personal development journey as a student entrepreneur, covering my PhD research in AI, my entrepreneurship journey, as well as different life design topics. If you're a student, entrepreneur, first generation student, or all of the above, consider subscribing. The main system of this book is the hook model. Many of today's most addictive products follows the hook model, and throughout this book there are plenty of examples that show you the case. There are 4 steps to the hook model. The first step is the trigger step. There are internal and external triggers. Habit-forming products usually start with external triggers such as push notification, and over time users will form internal associations with the app, and that is when addiction happens. The second step is the action step. Once you're triggered, you're often prompt to take an actions in anticipation of a reward. The 2 most basic factors for increasing the likelihood of taking actions are the ease of taking actions and the motivation of doing so. The third step of the hook model is variable rewards. Variable rewards is one of the most powerful tools that companies can use to create habit-forming products. Variability creates unpredictability, which creates craving. I particularly love this example from the book. Lights turning on and off when you open the fridge doesn't drive you to keep opening the fridge because it's predictable. But if you add some variable rewards to it, for example, every time you open the fridge, a different treat appears. Now all of a sudden, you would want to open the fridge more. The last step of the hooked model is investment. In this step, it requires the users to commit to the product a little bit, whether that be entering personal details, engaging with the products, or even sharing it on social media. This little investment by users makes future trigger much more engaging, future actions much easier to complete, and overall just makes future reward much more exciting. And what this means is that the more that they invest, the more likely that they're going to come back to repeat the hook model. Action number 1, experiment with at least one of the 4 external triggers. As I mentioned earlier, habit-forming products usually start with external triggers to get the user to start using the product. Here are the 4 types of external triggers. Firstly, we have paid triggers. This includes paid advertising, search engine marketing, and others that can be used to grab attention from users. This can be a good starting point, but as you can imagine, this can be very costly in the long run for re-engagement. Secondly, we have earned triggers. This includes hot press mentions, viral videos, and even featured app store placements. These are all great ways to gain traction, but it does take time to build. Thirdly, we have relationship trigger. Relationship triggers include word of mouth or recommendation, and they are a highly effective external trigger. Relationship trigger is what you want when you want to create hyper growth with low costs. If you're building a social network product, you will want to use relationship trigger to encourage people to bring their friends on board. Lastly, we have owned triggers. Owned triggers is where you essentially own a piece of real estate in the user's environment. This could be an app on the user's phone or a subscribers on your email list. In this situation, the users have agreed to stay up to date with your product, and so now you can set triggers whenever you want to grab the attention of your users. The first 3 external triggers are used to drive new customers, whereas the last trigger is used to drive repeat engagement. Action number 2, brainstorm 1 to 3 pain points that your product can solve for the users. Use the 5 round of whys to get to an emotion. Here we are talking about internal triggers. Once the users have gone through multiple iterations of the hook model through external triggers, we can start to look into how we can build internal triggers. Internal triggers is where you want to get to with your users on your product. When your product is associated with a thought, emotion, or routine, it has internal triggers. Emotions are powerful internal triggers, especially the negative ones. If users use your product to escape negative emotions, they now have internal triggers to use your product. And so they don't need external triggers anymore to prompt them to use the product, or at least not as much external trigger is needed. Action number 3. Answer the following 5 questions around habit zone. A behavior is considered a habit when it occurs with high enough frequency and perceived utility, aka rewards. A habit is also when not doing an action causes discomfort. Here's a list of 5 questions that can guide you towards identifying your user's habit zone for your product. Question number 1. What habits does your business require? Question number 2. What problem is your product solving? Question number 3. What's the current existing solution for the product? Why do you need a solution? Question number 4. How frequently do you expect users to engage in the product? And question number 5. What user behavior do you want to make into a habit? Action number 4. Here we have a list of questions that focuses on triggers. Once you have identified users' habit for your product, you can now start to think about where you want to put your external triggers to encourage your desired habits. The next set of questions will help you do that and is built upon the answers that you have from the previous set of questions, the habit zone questions. Here's the list of 5 questions for triggers. Question number 1. Who is your product's user? Question number 2. What is the user journey/routine before your intended habit? Question number 3. Which internal trigger is the most frequent for your users? Question number 4. Based on your answers to question 2, when should you send an external trigger? How can you couple an external trigger as closely to the user's internal trigger? And question number 5. Brainstorm 3 conventional external triggers and 3 crazy external triggers. And that's it for today's video. For more actionable steps, please check out the Zerton platform. On the platform, you can find over 150 plus actions from many bestseller books. You can find the link in the description below. In the meantime, feel free to check out other videos on my channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys around next time.